Hello, hello, hello. Well, it is a new day. And once again, I'm slightly groggy in the morning, but not entirely. And I had an idea on a subject to talk about, and I completely forgot it. So, we're just gonna talk about whatever here. But got a family reunion to go to later today. It's gonna be fun, I think. I enjoy getting to see family, so. But that might mean the podcast doesn't come out till tomorrow. I'm not sure. Oh, I might bring my laptop, but maybe not. We'll see. But I always like family reunions because it's good to see people, the family you know well, you get to spend some time with and have fun around. And the family you don't know so well, you get to know better. Which my family tries to have a family reunion. So this is for my mom's side of the family. And I think they have one just about every year. We hadn't gone to all of them, but anytime there's one kind of nearby, we try and go. But we don't have one for my dad's family. But we just kind of all get together anyway. And around the holidays, we all try and get together, which haven't been able to go in a couple years, but maybe this year we can. Oh, I'm not running late today, but got off a couple minutes later than I meant to because I had to stop and pack for leaving, because as soon as I get off of work, I'm heading home, and then as soon as I get home, we're leaving to go travel to the family reunion. It's not too far, only about an hour, so it should be fine. Oh. Yeah. I don't think most of this part of the family that's going to be there has met my daughter yet, so that'll be fun. I always enjoy meeting family and sharing good news and just following up on things. And every time family meets our daughter, they just go crazy for her because she is just adorable. I mean, everybody likes babies, but yeah, everyone. I know that I am a dad, and I am gonna think that she's the most beautiful little girl in the world anyway, but like, we have complete strangers come up to us all the time and say and remark on how beautiful our daughter is. It's just, she's got really just very pretty little face. I don't know, I guess my wife and I's genetics combined to just create a very beautiful little girl. But yeah, and so I love introducing her to family. She likes meeting people. She gets very shy, but then after like 30 minutes or so, she just starts running around, playing with any kids that are around almost immediately. And then adults she warms up to and is happy to be around after a while. Oh, it's kind of interesting to see her kind of reaction to people, because she's just so like wonderfully innocent, and just the way all kids are, where they just don't worry so much. Like, they're a little shy, but she just is so happy to play. It's one of those things that I feel like forget sometimes. It's just that kind of sheer joy at the everyday things in life. I know the first time I ever drove a car, I was nervous, I was excited, it was fun, and it was so special because I still remember it, because we were visiting my grandparents in East Texas, my dad's parents, and they have a little bit of land, and so they have kind of a long driveway, and my dad would give us all our first driving lesson there, because you're legally allowed to drive on private property regardless of your age. So my dad would take us in the car and let us drive when we were like 14, 15. We didn't have our, like, I think I was 14, if I'm remembering correctly. And it was so just like, I was nervous, but I was so excited because I was going to get to learn how to drive. And now, every day, I just hop in the car and just drive and don't even think about it. And just, there's so many things you do in your life that you don't really remember in the same ways as you get older. Because I remember the first time I held my daughter, it's just like there was nothing else in the world. And I was just sitting there. She was laid on my wife's chest in the delivery room. I had my arms around both of them. And that's just a moment that I'll remember forever. But today, I mean, when I get home for lunch, I'll pick her up, and it's still special. And I love having her jump into my arms and picking her up and giving her a big old hug, but it's not that world-altering moment that it once was. So it's really interesting just the way that repeated instances kind of detract from the value of something, or from the uniqueness of it, not necessarily the value. I mean, the first time I moved away from home, I moved into a college dorm, and it felt like such a big deal compared to this past time we moved. And then, the first time I got a job was so special, and then the second time was the first full-time job I had, so it was a little more, well, I guess the first job I had was a lifeguard. And then the second job didn't feel as special, but it felt a lot different because I was in a new city and it was an internship, so I felt like it was more important, and it was my first office job, so some stuff there. And then my first full-time job felt just a little less special, and then this past time I got a new job to where I'm working now, I just showed up. So it's just interesting how some things always stay special, like kissing your wife or holding your daughter. There's always going to be something special about that, but over time it's interesting to see how things change. You get used to them and view them differently. Oh. Well, hello again. Oh, I should really listen back to some of these and just see how it actually sounds, because I have no idea what's being picked up and like how sudden the shift is. I just kind of thought about that because I paused the recording for when I get where I'm going, and then I just press pause on the recording, and then when I'm done with work or done with lunch or whatever, I press start on the recording again, and it keeps recording as if there was no break. So I don't actually know just how jarring that transfer over is, so maybe I should take a listen eventually. If I was trying to do this professionally at all, I would have listened to all of them back before I actually did anything. But I am not doing this in a professional manner. I'm just having fun. So if you're thrown off by the sudden changes and just topics all over the place, sorry, but you're gonna have to deal with it if you want to listen. Oh, well, but thank you to anyone who is listening, because I do appreciate it. It's fun to know that this podcast has had some listeners, even if it hadn't been for very long. Oh, and even if all of them have not enjoyed it, it's still worth noting. But it is just a kind of strange putting all these out there. Like, I don't really review anything I've said, like I just mentioned, but it is just kind of weird putting them out there and then just seeing that people are looking at them. Anyway, I wonder, I could, if I wanted to, kind of cut it down to only like one a week that's a little longer, but trim out some of the fat and cut some of the awkward pauses I have in there. But I think it's useful leaving everything in so I can kind of learn how to speak more fluently when recording myself and without having to stop and think so much about every single word. I think it is helping me a lot having to do that, because I'm finding it's easier to kind of speak on here mainly and I haven't so much seen any actual applications to everyday life that it's made, but it is getting easier to just kind of keep talking without pausing too readily and having so many breaks in between what I say. But I am still a little worried that I might just start talking and not really think about what I'm saying enough, but I think that it's going pretty well. But then I hit one of these pauses where I completely blank on what to say next, and I want to think about something, and it makes it a little harder to keep track. But I think a few breaks here and there are fine. If everybody's interested in what I have to say, you're going to listen anyway. That did not sound good. I just heard I think that was just a rock, but I just heard a little metallic plink on the bottom of my truck. So hopefully that's nothing important. I think it's just a rock, though. I'm behind it's kind of like a bigger moving truck, not quite a semi with it's got the built-in bed, but it is a bigger truck. And it just flung the rock, so I still need to get the crack in my windshield fixed from the hail damage we had last week. I need to I need to look at my insurance and see if their policy covers it, because if they do, then that'd be nice, and I can just get them to do it real quick and easy. And if they don't, then I'm gonna have to take a look and see who I can afford to get to replace it. Windshields aren't too terrible, but still not fun. And it is just one big circular crack. I guess it's probably not going to grow much, considering it's just in a circle. It's got a little bit of a hairline fracture toward the middle, but as long as it doesn't crack much more, it doesn't block my view at all. Still keeps the air out, everything from flying at me. Anyway, there's this kind of, I don't know what it is. It's a mound with a concrete road on it that's super uneven. I think that it's an off-roading test track. I drive by it every time I make this commute, and I really want to go drive on it, but it's closed from the public, and there's a sign out in front, and I can't read what it says from the highway, so I'm gonna have to one day just take a little detour, maybe make an extra long segment where I just investigate what that sign says. Because if I could drive on it, I don't have a good off-roading car. This is only a 2-wheel drive truck, and I don't want to, and it's also not raised at all, so I don't want to try and go over something I can't get over and scrape the bottom of my truck, but it looks like it'd be a lot of fun to go on. My sister has a 4-wheel drive Jeep, so I might see if it's publicly available or something you can pay to go do. Maybe I'll see if she wants to do it sometime, because I don't think she's had the opportunity to test out her 4-wheel drive Jeep, but that might be fun. But yeah. Oh, I guess when I get back home for lunch, I need to pack, because like I said earlier, we're leaving right after I get off of work, and we packed clothes last night, but I still need to pack toothbrush, toothpaste, shampoo, maybe shampoo. Might just be able to use some. I usually borrow shampoo when we travel to visit family, just because it takes up a lot of space to bring a shampoo and soap. like don't have the little travel versions. But anyway, I need to like kind of get together some of the stuff I want to bring. I might bring my laptop so that I can kind of get this podcast together and put out while I don't really have much to do. But we'll see what I end up doing. It might come out tomorrow after we get back. You know, since this is going up on the internet, I probably shouldn't be saying that I'm going to be away from home for the night before I get back. But, you know, it should be fine. It's always interesting just kind of thinking about all that, because it's weird putting so much information out there publicly accessible on the internet. It just kind of feels like something you should be avoiding, even though it really is most likely never going to have an effect. It just is something that you tend to not want to do so much. But I think right now I'm at the point where my channel's not got any subscribers. Like, I think I have one subscriber, really. Well, last time I checked there were 3, and one of them is me on my main account, one of them is my wife, and then the other one is probably a bot. I don't know how many bots there are on YouTube. I don't really fully trust the amount of views and followers I have still, or subscribers, just because it is like one of those things where I know that the internet is very overwhelmed with artificial accounts, and not AI. I'm not big on like AI and all that. I know most of it's just kind of flow charts more than anything, but a flow chart is enough to randomly hit subscribe on things to try and just do different objectives on the internet, because I know that on just like Facebook and more traditional social media like Facebook and Twitter or X, whatever it's called these days, most of the followers are bots, and they just are trying to farm your data. But, you know, it's weird thinking that this might be farmed by AI. AI might use everything I say as a kind of training, but that would be some interesting developments. Anyway, I'm back home now, so I guess talk to y'all in a minute. So, and I'm back. So, So, got a new camera lens for my wife's camera, because so I think I already mentioned how I bought her a camera to get into photography for Christmas, but my parents were great and bought her a really nice lens for that camera. The only problem is that the lens they got is a more of a portrait lens, and so it works very well. But if you're trying to take pictures of the weather tends to be much wider and have a lot more just be a lot more than a portrait lens can take. And so it's a very narrow angle is the issue. And so we saved up some extra money and saved up a little bit that we got back on like credit card points, and got a I don't want to call it a wide angle lens because it's not super wide angle, but it's a 35, I think it's a 35 millimeter lens, so it's a lot wider angle than she did have, and so I think that'll be good for getting better pictures. And it just came in today, and so I was looking at that, and yeah, it's a lot wider angle than the one we did have, so I think she can take some good pictures with that and kind of learn it a little better. Turns out though, cameras are expensive. Like that lens cost $70 and it was a cheap one. And yeah, like the camera only cost about well, I got it on sale for like $300, I think. Somewhere around there. I think it was actually 350-ish. But I got it on a great sale. It was like almost half off too. I think it's normally like $550. But yeah, so the camera was only that much. A decent like zoom lens is like $2,000 for a good quality like professional automatic zoom lens. And I was just like, man, that's a lot, because like the cheapest lens I could find was like $50, and that was a really low quality kind of not very wide angle lens. And then to get a decent lens was $70 for this one. But I want to get her a wide angle lens eventually so that she can capture like the whole horizon. But that's gonna be like probably about, for a manual focus kind of not cheap but lower end wide angle lens, I think it's gonna end up being close to $200 to $250, which isn't too bad, but it's like, yeah, you're gonna spend more money on lenses than the actual camera eventually. And if I wanted to get her a lens that could change the angle, then that would be so expensive. But yeah, we have an older camera that her parents gave us, and it's only it's like not an interchangeable lens camera. It only has the one attached lens, but it is a automatic, like you can zoom with it. It's a zoom lens. It's not great, but it takes good enough pictures to have as non-professional, just kind of personal use. And I'm thinking that's the one I'm gonna try and use for making videos, because it's a little easier to kind of capture what you want to capture with it. But yeah. So one of the reasons I got her the camera I did is because it's mirrorless. So it's supposed to be able to take pictures of the night sky better than most, because you can adjust the exposure time and a lot of different things like that. And we haven't really, like, I've been trying to get some pictures like with it, and she has too. She's gotten some pictures of the clouds, and some kind of starting weather photography, but I was trying to take some pictures of the night sky with it, or just like the moon, and it is really hard to do actually, because my parents gave us a tripod. It's an older tripod, but it works, but it's like with the other lens you've got a tiny little sliver of the sky, and it was hard to kind of see what you were getting a picture of. So like, also, I mean, we live in the city, so the light pollution is just horrible for like really good night photography or viewing. And it is, yeah, we don't even live in a bad light polluted area. Like, it's one of the least light polluted cities I've ever been to, but it's still just so terrible that you could never see the real stars. Like, you see maybe 100 stars if you're just looking into the sky at night, which like might sound like a lot if you're from like New York or Austin or something, but or like LA, I think you can see like just a couple of dozen stars, only the very, very brightest. Because I know LA's got some terrible light pollution. But yeah, when we go visit my parents, you can already see like 5 to 10 times as many, if not more. And then when we go to visit my wife's parents, they live in an even smaller town, and they live a little ways outside of town. So we end up being able to see like thousands. And then I'd like to one day go to one of the light pollution free areas, because I know there are a few of those in the US, or at least minimal light pollution, and so you can go there, and I want to see the stars from there. I love looking at the night sky. Like, the stars are just so beautiful, and when you go somewhere without as much light pollution, like, you can see the Milky Way, you can see like just clouds of stars across the sky. You can kind of see the band along the angle of the Earth's rotation, and it's just so cool to see all that. But when you're in the city, it's really hard to see, and you can only see so many stars, and you can like just make out some of the brighter constellations. Like, but then you go out in the country a ways, get away from all the lights, and then go down a dirt road away from all the traffic, and then you can just see so much, and there's so many colors too. And like, you think of the stars as just being white, but when you kind of look and you wait for your eyes to adjust with no other light around, you can see like blues and purples of the sky kind of coming through where they reflect the light, or where the sky reflects the light. But yeah, the cloud of the Milky Way, all the stars, it kind of looks like a distant cloud on a clear night, but it's just stars, and there's so many of them that it forms like a cloud, because there's so many little pinpricks of light that it is like a low resolution image of a cloud. But yeah, it'd be really cool if we could get out somewhere and just, I've been thinking about trying to just like find a back road somewhere we could go down with absolutely no light and just shut off the car and take some pictures of the sky and watch it for a while. But I know that'll be hard to do with a little kid, because little kids are not big fans of the dark, and you don't want her just running around on the dirt where you can barely see her. Also, just like, it depends on the time of the month, because a full moon blows out the sky a lot when you're not surrounded by any other light. Like, nowhere near as bad as city lights would. Like, you can still see most of the stars, but it does block quite a few, so it'd be nice to do it on a new moon, so the moon's not even in the sky. Which, that's an interesting thing. Like, as a kid, you just kind of see sun in the day, moon at night on all your, like, shows and stuff, but when you're actually an adult, you kind of realize, yeah, the moon doesn't work like that. But then if you learn how the moon does work, it's actually super interesting, because the moon, the phase of the moon is proportional to the time it spends during the day. Like, so a new moon is only out during the day, and that's why you can't see it at all at night. It's not even like, because when it's a partial moon, you can kind of see the shadow of the rest of the moon, but when it's a new moon, you can't see it at all, not because it's just dark, but because it's actually on the other side of the planet from you. And so, yeah, when it's a half moon, it's half there during the day, half there at night. And, like, I did not know that until way too recently, but it's just so fascinating. I love solar system, moon, stars, and all that. But gotta go now, so talk to y'all in a little bit. Last segment of the day. You know, that's an interesting thought. I hadn't thought to kind of organize it into segments or anything like that, but that is an interesting thought. Might save that for later. Organizing different segments throughout the day might help with the whole lack of ideas thing. But for now, that's about all I had. So I was thinking, just talking about, so there's this ghost town in California. Probably a lot of people have heard about it by now, but the guy who owns it now runs a YouTube channel. It's called Cerro Gordo, or the YouTube channel is Ghost Town Living. And anyway, it's a very fun YouTube channel, and like, I've really enjoyed watching it. I started watching it about when he started it in 2020. When I think it was like a couple months in, I saw it and started watching it. But then I've kept up with it because it's really entertaining, and I just I like everything about it. It's got everything I've been talking about nature, and like my own dreams of trying to find somewhere for my family like that. But anyway, he wrote a book, and made an audiobook version, which I've been listening to at work. And I just am it's a very good book, in my opinion, and a lot of the kind of thoughts and topics he mentions mirror a lot of my own. And I definitely recommend it if you ever need a good 8 hours of audio listening, or if you want to read a good book. I'm not quite done with it yet. I still have a few hours, or like 2 hours to go. But it's been really interesting, and I definitely want to go out there someday, because just, I don't know, I'm just in love with sunsets and sunrises, and the way he describes them from up at the top of the mountain there. I just want to see that. I really just love the isolated nature of that area, and I really like the idea of being somewhere like that and living somewhere like that. You know, if I'd never met my wife, I'd probably want to be trying to buy my own ghost town or something like it, because that's just a lot of what I've kind of been saying. You mentioned in the book, and just the different kind of ways he was talking about it reminded me of things I've said. Talking about just the way it feels in the world today, feeling so just feeling so unfulfilled by life of technology, and just working 9 to 5 was draining, but he wanted to get out and do something else, find a more meaningful task. Definitely get all that, but I definitely don't think I felt any of it as much as he seems to have. But he didn't have a spouse to be there with him through it all, so, because that's the thing, I'm not a big fan of work, especially the way I work right now, just the everyday 9 to 5 kind of deal. But I'm happy where I am. I don't need a big change like that yet, but I definitely do think that if I had not met my wife, I would be in a similar kind of situation. Because I do feel that kind of want to go and be a frontiersman, a modern one. Like, I want to live somewhere where I have to work on the buildings around me every day. I have that desire to just kind of be out in nature more and have a rough time, but be able to work through it and feel those accomplishments in a more realistic way. But I know that even though that sounds very fun and it would be interesting for a while, I don't think I'd necessarily do it forever. Because I'd rather be a dad and start a family like I have and raise some kids. And I still do want to get out of the city, but I don't think that that's what's best for them. And so that's not what I want. Getting out and refurbishing some old worn down place. But maybe when my wife and I are older and all the kids have grown up and moved away, we can do something like that, because I don't know, there's just something romantic about the idea of going somewhere and making it on your own and having to work just to survive sometimes. And these days everything's so easy that I think it kind of really adds to the romanticism of that idea, even though I know that it's not exactly feasible. And I know it would be a lot of work to do it, and I definitely would not want to do that with a family, because I wouldn't want my kids to have to, be homeschooled with a 2-hour drive to the nearest neighbor. I'd like to give my kids a good chance in kind of everything, but I do think one day I want to at least kind of do something similar, just making our own way on a piece of land. Even if it's not, I don't want to be quite so rough, but having a piece of land that we just put a house on ourselves and do the work to make it ours. Dig in a garden, do our own building of our lives there. That's what I want. And that's kind of, in his book, it's definitely a more exaggerated, dangerous, and overall very grand idea of that. But I think it's still in the same vein, and I still feel that same kind of want for adventure of it he kind of has in his book. I feel it too. I think it's a very good way of describing it, but definitely don't think I'm quite that far in where I'd just kind of leave everything, because I like to still be close to people and close to family, and I don't want to put my wife and daughter through all that, because they're more important to me and they make me happier than any adventure ever could. So, but I do still think, one day after kids are grown up and gone away, maybe we could find something like that, or maybe we could find something a little closer to home to make our own. But that's all the time we have for today. Did I seriously not? Okay, no, I did record. Oh, it opened on a different screen. That would have been bad. Okay. See y'all next week.